Forecast here by 2030, it will be growing even faster than the other large economies, closing the gap to the US, and it is clearly on a path to become the largest economy in the world. The growth, to sort of put it in perspective, I find this viewpoint quite helpful. If you see the size of the GDP today in China and the UK, you see the forecasted growth of both markets and getting China basically growing by another 2.3 trillion. So to put that in perspective, that's as if China, which is already the second largest economy in the world, is basically adding another UK on top, including UK's growth between now and 2020. So it's an entire another major economy simply coming on top. That's the scale of growth that we're talking about. Internet users in China, around 750 million. So basically equivalent to the population of all of Europe, more than twice the population of the US. And these users are not only online, but to a very large extent, they're online on mobile devices, which is so important to what we're talking about today, the retail experience and how consumers connect to your brand. In China, that is via the mobile device. So many people talk about how e-commerce in Europe, in the UK here, in the Western world, is a bit of the dessert. It's come on top of decades of high street retail growth, both in all of the markets. This is how people have engaged with retail brands for the last decades. And then e-commerce came on board. E-commerce is what a lot of us spend a lot of our time talking about, but it is still a minority share of the retail business. It's the one that is disrupting many other issues. It's the one that's growing fastest. It's when everyone feels they need to have a capability of also doing or doing as a business model, but it's the dessert. In China, it's not. In China, e-commerce is the main course. This is how so many Chinese consumers, for the very first time, have engaged with a brand, have purchased a brand, have explored a category that's become important to them, not as an aside, not as a new way of doing it, not just the young people, but this is where so much of retail is actually happening.